I didn't think of that. It can go both ways, right? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's great to have you this morning. You know it's autumn when we're in the debate season, and I'm actually on vacation this week. I have to tell you, I'm so thrilled to be here, though. If you want to really have a fabulous vacation, go to New Hampshire. It's an amazing, amazing place. So welcome. If we haven't formally met, my name is Robin Comstock. I'm the President and Chief Executive Officer of the Greater Manchester Chamber of Commerce. And again, I'm thrilled to be here this morning and thrilled to have you as our guests. I'd like to, before I begin the program, thank Bank of America, who is our sponsor. Without Bank of America sponsorship and the generosity of other sponsors, these kinds of programs just simply would not be possible. So if there's a Bank of America team in the room, again, thank you very much. As we all know, with the retirement of Councilor Ray Razorek, who has held the District 4 Executive Council seat for 10 years, the race to replace him promises to be one of the most exciting elections on the ballot this year, and certainly this fall, and most immediately before us. Before we begin this debate and the debate series, we'll come back for congressional and gubernatorial as well. I want to remind everyone that the Chamber of Commerce is in fact a nonpartisan entity. We are an issues advocate that focuses on member concerns as our first priority versus any particular political party. And again, we're just thrilled to have the chance to have the conversation and to bring the candidates to you. Just to set the ground rules and the format a little bit, to let you know, each candidate receives 2 minutes for opening remarks. I will ask candidates a series of questions. The questions have been developed by the Chamber's Government Affairs Committee, the Chamber's Board of Directors, and the staff of the Chamber of Commerce. The candidates have 1 minute for their response, and each candidate will also be given a 30-second follow-up. Alex Almadeo, the Chamber's Customer Service Representative, is in the front of the room. She has before her a yellow card and a red card. When she holds the yellow card up, it means that the candidate has 15 seconds left. When she holds the red card up, it means they are to stop, even if mid-sentence. I told them I do have the power of the switch. Messy Productions is my friend. We're in good hands with Messy Productions. I'm just teasing. Once we've completed the moderated questions portion, we'll then open it up for audience Q&A. I actually have one already. So you have cards like this on your table. I hope you'll fill them out. If you have a card, please print carefully. Sometimes it's really hard to interpret the writing. So print carefully and slowly, and I will be looking forward to the portion of the stage, portion of the program where I can actually go through your questions. Raise your card like this, and one of the chamber employees will come by and bring it to me. And two, please, one question on one card. If you have 2 questions, take the time to fill out 2 cards. Please understand that we'll not be able to ask the candidates every question due to time limitations. If you're new to the Chamber of Commerce, it's very important that we adjourn at 9 o'clock, and our audience trusts that we will do that. So if we run beyond that, I will not be able to ask any more questions. So, in the spirit of introducing the candidates, I think you do know them. I saw a lot of socializing before the program began this morning. Let's begin the program, and let me please introduce the candidates. In alphabetical order is Bob Burns on my left, your right. He is a Republican candidate for Executive Council. And on my right, your left, is Chris Pappas, who is the Democratic candidate. The candidate opening remarks were actually determined through the flip of a coin just a few minutes ago. Bob called it. Chris is going first. And so with that, gentlemen, I would like to begin a 2-minute session for each of you for your opening comments. And Chris, as we agreed to, let's begin for you, sir, with 2 minutes of opening comments. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, Robin, and thank you to the members and guests of the Chamber for being here today for an important discussion of the issues that are involved in this critical race for the Executive Council. I also want to thank the sponsor, Bank of America, for putting this event together. You know, as a lifelong resident of Manchester, I care deeply about the communities of this region and their future. I'm proud to be a lifelong Manchester resident, and it's a community that's given me so many opportunities in life. It's the place where I grew up, where I went to public school, and where I came back after college to get involved in community life and help run my family's small business. I'm proud to be the 4th generation in my family to co-own and operate the Puritan Back Room. It started out as a small candy store on Hanover Street in 1917, and it's grown into one of the largest independent restaurants in the state today. I was honored to serve the people of Manchester for 2 terms in the legislature and made responsible state budget decisions as a member of the Ways and Means and Finance Committees. As county treasurer, I returned nearly $5 million to taxpayers by making smart investments with county funds. I want to use my background and skills and my passion for the communities of this district to go to work to build a brighter future for Greater Manchester. I think we've seen way too many distractions in Concord the past year and a half. We've seen divisive battles over social issues. We've seen healthcare become a political football instead of a long-term challenge that we should tackle together. And we've seen an important study of passenger rail fall by the wayside because of political short-sightedness. I think it's time to put political agendas aside and put ideology on the shelf and do what we can to work together to restore balance of state government and move our communities forward. I'm very proud to have the support of Governor John Lynch in this campaign. I think Governor Lynch has done well the past 8 years by bridging the political divide and bringing people together. And I think it's incumbent on the next executive counselor to lead in a similar fashion, and I hope to carry on his vision of leadership for New Hampshire. I think it's critical that we all come together, that we work hard on the long-term economic, health, and infrastructure needs of our state, and I certainly hope to do that. I've been talking about that a lot in this campaign and look forward to working as your executive counselor for the next 2 years. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Chris. Now it gives me great pleasure to introduce Bob Burns for 2-minute opening remarks.
Good morning. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to the council for having us here. My name is Robert Burns, and I'm the Republican candidate for Executive Council. I am also a lifelong Bedford, Manchester resident. Currently, I reside here in Manchester. I grew up going to Bedford schools all my life. I then went to West High School, where I graduated in '96, and went on to Keene State College, where I got a business degree. I first ran for office in 2005 at the urging of then Alderman Frank Ginta, who then went on to become mayor that year in 2005. I ran for selectman on the west side in Ward 12. I later on went to run against my opponent here for county treasurer, which I clinched that seat in 2010 with a landslide. I currently own a business with my father that we started 2 years ago in the pharmaceutical manufacturing industry. We make equipment that makes pharmaceuticals and drugs safer and cheaper for the general public. I have experience with implementing new software and automated equipment in production facilities worldwide. I also see this as a very important year for the Executive Council. Particularly, we have a few people retiring, and we're going to have a shakeup in the governor's office and the council office. And I think it's important that we have a counselor there that can help fulfill the vision and future for the next governor. The areas that I want to focus on in council is helping to implement new technologies, which I think that I bring particular value from my work in the private industry. We have a $76 million boondoggle of a computer system over at Health and Human Services that was supposed to be implemented in 2 years that is on a 7-year track. We've just signed the largest state contracts ever, $2.4 billion for managed Medicaid.
Bob, thank you very much. Thank you. Very good. It's great to meet both of you. Thank you so much. Terrific opening remarks. The first question of the morning, before we get into the nitty-gritty, please describe your vision for our region and the state. Where do you want us to go, and how do you want us to get there? 1 minute, Bob Burns.
Sure. The vision I have is fiscal responsibility. I see too many wasteful projects, particularly the train project that Chris brought up earlier. This is a $300 million project, ultimately, that is a project just for the super rich. The trains will carry people from Concord to Boston South Station. This isn't for the general public to use. I think a better area to use, monies such as this would be possibly in buses that would actually help out the elderly and the general public be able to get to work.
Thank you. Chris, would you like me to read the question again?
Sure.
Before we get into the nitty-gritty, please describe your vision for our region and state. Where do you want us to go, and how do you want us to get there? 1 minute.
Thanks, Robin. That's an important question. And as we look at the direction of New Hampshire and we look at what New Hampshire has to offer, we all know that New Hampshire has long enjoyed significant built-in economic advantages that's resulted in it being an attractive place to live, work, and do business. But I think, and the Chamber heard very recently from several noted economists, that this is in jeopardy in the long run, and New Hampshire can't sit back and count on these sort of guaranteed advantages into the future. What they recommended and what I think we need to do is to work together. And without working together and without leaders in the public and private sector partnering together to make sure we look at ways at encouraging innovation, ways at creating a well-skilled workforce, and ways in making sure that government is a partner and not a burden to the solution. Without doing those things, New Hampshire's long-term economic advantages won't necessarily be there. And so I think it's very important to, again, set ideology aside and make sure we're doing what's best for the communities of our district and not what's best for our political parties or our political ideology.
Thank you, Chris. Bob, 30-second follow-up if you'd like to use it.
Well, I think that political parties and ideology do come into play here. I think that the Republican Party has just been more fiscally responsible, whereas the Democrat Party tries to push more social agendas. I believe that as Executive Council, we're watchdogs for the bottom line and to look at fiscal responsibility, and I think that that's something that's in my party platform.
Very good. Thank you. Chris, 30-second follow-up if you'd
Sure.
like.
And I think fiscal responsibility is absolutely paramount on the Executive Council. You look at the number of contracts that come through the Council, and without having a fiscally responsible member of the Council there, making good decisions, the state ultimately is the loser in the end, and the taxpayers are too. I think my business background, my experience in the House, and my experience as County Treasurer demonstrate my support for fiscally responsible government. And I think John Lynch has done well, and councilors from both parties have done well in imposing fiscal responsibility, and I want to carry on that tradition.
Thank you, Chris. The next question, gentlemen. Both of you in your early 30s, and you've been criticized for your youth and relative inexperience. What are your qualifications to be an executive counselor? Chris, 1 minute.
Well, as I said, I think I have significant political experience, but also significant community experience too. I've been proud to serve on the board of the Manchester Historic Association. I also served on the board of Southern New Hampshire Services. And I care deeply about the communities of this district and the future of them. This is the place where I grew up, as I said, but it's the place where I want to continue to live, to build a business, and to grow a family. And I think when you're committed to an area like this, you want to see it thrive, and you want to see a government in place that's going to be supporting good policies that are going to be encouraging families and businesses in this district. I think the government can go a long way to being a partner. It can support innovation in state government, and it can learn from what's happening in the private sector and replicate those policies in state government. I think when you look at green initiatives, when you look at bringing technology into government, government can learn a lot from what private business is doing. They can learn a lot from what my business is doing, what a lot of other business owners and leaders in this community have been doing at their own firms. And so I think we've got to have a government that's going to be taking cues from the private sector. And I think my background has demonstrated we can do that.
And Bob, would you like me to read the question again?
Yes, please.
Both of you are in your early 30s. You have been criticized for your youth and relative inexperience. What are your qualifications to be executive counselor? 1 minute.
First of all, who's criticizing us? You know, and again, and I find that kind of funny because, you know, Chris and I actually do have quite a bit of political experience for anybody our age, and quite frankly, a lot of business experience. My political experience is similar to Chris's. I was a selectman here in the city of Manchester to begin with, and then went on to serve as county treasurer as well for Hillsborough County. It's really where I see my business experience as being unique, particularly when it comes to anything from reading contracts to interviewing new heads of departments. And I see a total lack of implementing new technology and bringing the state to the 21st century. The council has to read hundreds of contracts within a very short period of time. Now, in the past, it was difficult, let's say, for the council to truly research these contracts, but now with the internet and other new technologies, it's a lot easier to research to make sure that we're getting the best prices on our contracts with different agencies or even property leases.
Thank you, Bob. Chris, 30-second follow-up.
Sure. I think when you look at my business background, I've led a team of more than 230 employees at the Puritan. You know, and you can see me there any given day of the week. I might be seating parties or making ice cream, but I also might be making decisions about insurance carriers or purchasing new equipment. Really a hands-on manager at my business, and I want to be a hands-on executive counselor. I think for our state to succeed, we've got to have leaders in Concord who are responding to the needs of their constituents, and I want to be involved in helping people navigate state government and making good decisions that are going to affect positively on the families and businesses in Manchester.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you. Bob, 30-second follow-up.
You know, during my primary and for years, and the people I talk to, many people think that the executive council is just about handing out a contract or reading a contract really well. And I think that there's a lot more to it than that. And I think that my business experience, whether it's working in major pharmaceutical manufacturing or candy manufacturing across North and South America, my equipment has been implemented at virtually every major pharmaceutical manufacturing